2 seconds. That's all it took for this referee to steal this man's entire legacy. And here's the sick part. The same mistake keeps happening 36 years later. One ref's decision started a chain reaction. Boxing still hasn't escaped. So let's get one thing straight. Judges, they rob you on paper. But referees, they rob you in real time. In front of 80,000 people. No replay, no appeal, nothing. One man's split-second panic and your zero is gone and your title is gone. And sometimes your health is gone forever. Tonight, the worst stoppages in boxing history. Only the big names and only the big fights. And the legendary analysts who torch the refs live on TV. Teddy Atlas, Jim Lampley, and Al Bernstein, Eddie Hearn, and Tony Bellew. And by the end, you'll see how one stoppage in 1990 created the butterfly effect that reached all the way up to Egypt in 2026. Stick around, because the payoff is worth it. March 17, 1990, Thunder meets Lightning. Julio Cesar Chavez, 68-0 against Meldrick Taylor, the Olympic gold medalist with the fastest hands alive. For 11 rounds, Taylor didn't just beat Chavez, he embarrassed him. Larry Merchant, he said it live. Taylor was dominating, and nobody expected this. Lampley compared him to Sugar Ray Leonard in his prime. Two judges had Taylor up 107 to 102, and the third one 108 to 101. All he had to do was stay on his feet for 12 more seconds, and he would have beaten the greatest Mexican fighter to have ever lived. Then Chavez lands a right hand. Taylor goes down with 17 seconds left. He's up at 6. Referee Richard Steele asks him twice, "Are you okay?" Taylor glances at his corner because Lou Duval is climbing up on an apron screaming, and Steele waves it off. 2 seconds left. Lampley's call became the most infamous sentence in boxing history. Richard Steele stops the fight with fewer than 5 seconds left to go, and Taylor, he left the ring with a shattered eye socket and a blood transfusion, and left boxing without a win that could have left him immortal. William Nack, he wrote that Taylor's prime was literally beaten out of him. And here is your first breadcrumb. Steele's excuse that night? He said he was protecting the fighter. Is this the same shield that every ref on this list hides behind? Remember that. Now, let's flip it. If stopping a fight 2 seconds early can steal a legacy, stopping one nearly 10 seconds late could nearly end a life. October 1991, Tommy Morrison, 28-0 Rocky V star, heir to the heavyweight throne, challenges Ray. Morrison gasses in the 5th and gets trapped and goes out on his feet. The ropes are the only thing that's holding this fool up, and referee Tony Perez, he just watches. Mercer unloads up to 15 unanswered punches on a man who's already unconscious. Bleacher Report called it the punch that stole a man's soul, and Morrison, he was never the same again. Same sport, same year. One ref jumps in 2 seconds early. Another ref freezes while another man takes 15 free shots to the face. Which is it? Boxing? I'm gonna need you to pick a lane. November 2013, Manchester, George Grove. The 25-year-old, no one gave a chance. Drops Carl Froch in round 1 and schools him for 8 rounds. He's already ahead on every single fight card. Then, the 9th round, Froch finally landed. Grove stumbles, and the referee Howard Foster doesn't give him a count, doesn't give him a second. He bulldozes through and drags Grove out of the fight like a bouncer at closing time. Froch's own crowd booed their own champion, and here's the receipt that settles the whole entire argument. Still with me? Good, because everything that you've seen so far, the 2 seconds, the frozen ref, the drag out the challenger, it all funnels into one man, one referee whose name is stamped on not 1, not 2, but 3 of the most disgusting stoppages of the modern era. Teddy Atlas, he used a word that got him pulled off of ringside broadcasts. That word, it was corruption. His identity and the 1990s butterfly effect explains all of this. Drops in 3 minutes. But first, let's finish this Froch file. The IBF, they reviewed Howard Foster's stoppage, and they officially ruled it improper, forcing the rematch at Wembley in front of 80,000. Even Froch admits it now. He was so far ahead on the cards. He beat me up the worst I've ever been beat. The rematch, it made both of these men rich. The first fight made Howard Foster infamous. Cardiff 2017, Anthony Joshua, 20 knockouts in 20 fights. Defends against Carl Takam. Hope I didn't butcher your name, my boy. Who took the fight on 12 days' notice and broke AJ's nose in round 2. Takam eats bombs and survives 2 doctor checks. And in round 10, he was still slipping punches, still firing back, but referee Phil Edwards waves it off. 78,000 British fans booed their own champions win. Let that sink in. Even Joshua wouldn't co-sign it. His exact words, "It was a good fight until the ref stopped it." For balance, BBC's Mike Costello said he had no problem with it, pointing out that the blood in Takam's eyes, fair, but asked the question the whole stadium was asking. Does this stoppage happen if the knockout streak was on the line? 20 for 20 would have became 20 for 21. And Takam, he never got his rematch. Only weeks, June 2017. Ward Kovalev goes down, clutching his belt line. From shots, half of the boxing world swears were low blows. And instead of a count, Weeks waves it off. Round 8. Promoter Katie Duva filed a formal protest. Roy Jones Jr. defended Weeks. He said Kovalev left him no choice. And that argument still splits the comment section. Strike 1, May 2023. 40-year-old Ishmael Barroso is ahead on all 3 cards against Romero. Dropped Rolly in round 3, and Weeks stops it in the 9th off a flurry where slow motion showed almost nothing landed clean. The fallout, it was nuclear. Claressa Shields, boxing took an L tonight. That was pathetic. Ryan Garcia said that was dirty. Way too early. Full of Fame analyst Al Bernstein, it's hard to fathom this stoppage. Honestly, it just is. Even Rolly admitted it should have continued. And Teddy Atlas, he dropped the atomic bomb. I'm no longer working ringside because of my persistent use of the word corruption. Well, it's just because I would have been using it tonight. Strike 2, January 2024. Weeks stopped Vergil Ortiz versus Frederick Lawson at 2:33 of round 1, claiming that Lawson's odds rolled back. All the while, Lawson stood there arguing with him. Strike 3, Nevada kept giving him his license anyway, which brings me to the freshest robbery on file. May 2026, Egypt. Rico Verhoeven, the kickboxing GOAT with 1 pro match, is outworking Usyk, the undefeated pound-for-pound king. After 10 rounds, 2 cards even, 1 card Verhoeven, we're 6 minutes from the biggest upset in the history of the sport. Usyk drops him in the 11th with an uppercut. Rico gets up and referee Mark Lawson waves it off after the bell had already ended the round. No minute, no 12th round. The broadcast didn't even show a clock. And Teddy Atlas, because it's always Teddy Atlas, terrible job by the ref, stopping the fight after the bell. Horrible TV production, not showing the clock. Eddie Hearn, poor stoppage. You can't stop a fight when the fighter's not taking any serious punishment. Tony Blue, in no way, shape, or form should this have been stopped. Sergio Mora, an embarrassing stoppage that robbed both fighters. Shakur Stevenson, the ref helped for sure. Jake Paul said, insane. Even Ngannou, outsiders never win. Rico was the winner tonight, period. Verhoeven, he filed a formal protest. Real talk, both sides, Atlas and Blue, admitted Usyk would probably finish him in the 12th round. And Canelo said it himself. The refs, they saved Rico. But with that bell ringing, that's not the ref's call to make. That's the fighter's call, and that's the judge's call. So here's the payoff, the butterfly effect. Richard Steele waved off Meldrick Taylor with 2 seconds left in 1990. And boxing has overcorrected ever since. Steele got crucified, so refs like Tony Perez froze. And Morrison ate 15 free shots to the face. Then the sports got terrified of another Morris, another Michael Watson tragedy. So the pendulum has swung back, and we got Foster's bulldoze, Edwards protecting a knockout streak, the entire week's trilogy, and a fight in Egypt that stopped after the bell. 2 seconds early in Vegas, 2 seconds late in Gaza. 36 years later, 36 years apart, the same 2 seconds. In boxing, they never fixed the problem. It just keeps passing to the next fighter's legacy. Every ref on this list hid behind 5 words. I was protecting the fighter. And every analyst from Lampley to Atlas has spent 3 decades asking the same question. Who protects the fighter from the ref? So now it's on you. Was Richard Steele protecting Meldrick Taylor, or did he steal the greatest win in boxing history with 2 seconds left. Is Tony Weeks just unlucky? Or is Teddy Atlas right and there's a darker word for it? Drop your verdict below. Worst stoppage ever. Steele, Weeks, or the bell in Egypt? Wrong answer gets ratioed. Subscribe if you're tired of the refs deciding fights the fighters should finish. Because in the next video, we're going to be covering the judges. And I promise you, the scorecards get even dirtier than the stoppages. See you on the next one.